Hello and welcome at our GCP-Mindset channel. Today, a very important topic. We speak about study nursing and especially flying study nursing. And I have here an expert with me, Daniela. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me here as well. I'm very excited to tell you a bit more about flying study nursing and study nursing in general.
Hello, Daniela. Thanks for being here to speak with me about study nursing. For me, I worked a couple of years ago as a CA. The study nurses were the most important factor on the study side. It's not the investigator or the number of investigators. It was usually the study nurse. And therefore, I also always try to have a good relationship with them, and because I understood how important they are. Yeah, and you speak with me today about study nursing, but let's start with yourself. Yeah, what makes you an expert in this topic?
So since I was very young, I was interested in various aspects of research. It was a hobby for me to understand how research was conducted, the factors, the methodology. And when I finished my education as a medical assistant, I decided to look for job opportunities in the field. That's when I found Kamovitz, that it's a company based in Berlin, founded in 2014 by Caroline Quart. And we are a team of study nurses. We provide support to clinical research organizations and health providers involved in research to ensure that their trials are conducted efficiently, effectively, and safely for the patients.
Great. Thank you very much. As I said already, I'm a big fan of a study nurse, but I think a lot of people even don't know what they are doing. What are their responsibilities? Could you explain a little bit what it means to be a study nurse?
As study nurses, we take a wide range of responsibilities among us. We can, for example, do the creation of source documents according to the protocol. We also do patient recruitment, patient visits, medication administration, adverse event reporting. We also manage the investigator side file, study coordination, lab logistics, sample processing, among other many tasks. It depends vastly on what the position of a study nurse is.
Yeah. Okay, but it sounds really like you have a very supportive job then at a study site. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What would you say? What does it mean for a study site? Do you take over 80% of the task an investigator could also do? Or is it even more?
It is hard to say. It depends highly on how many study nurses you also have on the set.
Yeah. But in general, would you say study nurses take over 80% of the task in terms of time, not in terms of responsibility?
Yeah, in terms of time, for sure. The responsibility always lays back to the principal investigator, but the tasks are carried out by study nurses.
Okay, let's get back to the term study nurse. And I have seen on many delegation logs, for example, when I'm doing the audits, different terms for study nurses like study coordinator, study site coordinator, site managers, etc. Is it all the same, or are they synonyms, or what are they? Are there differences?
So all of these terms may seem similar, but I think they have completely different responsibilities. They might not be interchangeable, even though the responsibilities can be overlapping. At Kamovitz, for example, a classic study nurse would be the nurse that has direct contact with the patient and is performing patient visits. While a study coordinator is overtaking the administrative tasks. It being in contact more with the CRA, it's being basically the right hand for the PI. On another side, I think this depends on the organization a lot, how they want to structure, because a study nurse is not a legally protected title. And for site coordinator, for example, a site coordinator might be responsible to ensure that the site is properly set up to carry out the research. So in terms of material supplies, and that the staff is properly qualified and carrying the study correctly. Whereas a site manager would be more responsible for budgeting, contracts, timelines, and overseeing the activities of the study coordinators, of the site managers. So I think this all depends a lot on the backgrounds that they have, the educations, the experience. As you see, maybe then a site coordinator would be would be better suited if they have a business background than a medical background.
Okay, but that would mean, so a study nurse had more or less a nursing background, or at least a medical background, medical assistant, nurses, so they could also take blood.
Yes.
Whereas a study coordinator with a business background would not be allowed to take blood according to the regulations. That would mean that a study nurse could do actually the job of a study coordinator or a study manager, but not vice versa.
Yeah. I see more often that a study coordinator is also a study nurse, and then the study coordinator is overtaking both responsibilities of patient visit and administration. But then, as you say, a site manager, for example, wouldn't be able to overtake these responsibilities, because it's really important that also the study coordinator is also in touch constantly with the patients. And this mix would allow to the best patient care, in my opinion.
Okay, the organization for which you do work, they provide a very special service. It's not just study nursing, but flying study nursing. And I think many people even don't know that this is existing. Tell me, what makes a study nurse flying?
Unlike permanent contract study nurses, flying study nurses work by contract for periods of time with either sponsors or research organizations. It could be for tasks, specific tasks, and to take care of studies in multiple locations, multiple sites. That's where the flying comes from, basically. So we are very helpful in situations of staff shortages, as we can then support in maternity leaves, or when someone is going on holidays, we are there for a specific period of time for specific tasks. And we adjust to the timelines of our clients. We have different backgrounds as well, as not so specific as a permanent study nurse who is very specific on what their capabilities, their skills are usually either towards a disease or towards a phase of research. We are more adaptable into everything that comes because we have so many different things to see.
Okay, but when you say your organization is located in Berlin, correct? Mm-hmm. Are you providing this service only in Berlin then?
No, that is completely not the case. We are based in Berlin, and we have a network of freelancing study nurses who are spread across Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and then we find a flying study nurse that is around there and could provide support to such sites.
Yeah, but it would be different to a CIA job. When you see CIAs, they also need to fly from one side to another, or from the CRO to the site, and of course it's also a matter of travel expenses. But this is not for a flying study nurse case. They are usually working in a certain location, where you can go by tram or.
Of course, it is ideal to be living closer, but as I say, it depends highly on how the contract is done. As for example, if I have a contract for 2 weeks, that I have to work 2 weeks to 1 day in a completely different city, and I can be there for 2 weeks, that's completely doable. Okay. Even though you have to fly.
Yeah. Okay. Would you fly then, or would you sleep in a hotel, or what?
would be according to the circumstances managed.
Okay.
We're
How
very.
urgent it is?
I'm sorry.
How urgent it is?
Yeah, how urgent it is, how many hours are needed, how long, and according to this, it would be set up. If it's flying, it's according as there are some studies in which the visit is once every 3 months, and then we fly for once every 3 months. We do the visit for 1 or 2 days, and we come back to our homes.
Okay, this sounds extremely flexible, I would say.
Yes, flexibility is one of the most important tasks, skills that we have to learn, and adaptability.
Yeah. When I worked as a CIA, which is more than 20 years ago, we were responsible for one study or maybe 2 studies, which was already a lot. Nowadays, very often CIAs are responsible for 4 or 5 studies because studies became smaller. And the recruitment became harder. I could also imagine that a study nurse works then on a couple of studies, whereas where a permanent employed study nurse who's working for a hospital or for a GP works only on one indication, on maybe 1-2 studies. Do you see there a difference of expertise?
Yeah, as I said, I think, for example, in certain research organizations, they are very specified on the research phase that they are going. Would it be like phase 3? And then they are specified on how these visits are conducted. Or even if it's a disease, nowadays, oncology is one of the biggest fields that are investigated, then they are very specified towards this. As flying study nurses, we do not have that day-to-day easy experience. Then we are more adaptable into what comes. We learn all the time something new. We have to see how it is done in here. We adapt to how it's done in a specific site, because we also have to become part of the team that it's working in there.
Yeah. So it's more a matter on how you delegate certain tasks to a study nurse. Yeah. If you have somebody who is working for 20 years in oncology, you can also give different tasks than to a flying study nurse who has maybe some experience with oncology, but also in between she's working on a diabetes study, on a cardiovascular study, and so on.
Yeah. I think it's different in matters of, for example, when you are working directly with patients and you have situations of, you see the blood drawing from certain patients with certain diseases, it is more complicated. And that's where the benefit of having someone who is very specified in that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, having someone who is more adaptable towards the changings, there are different benefits on those things.
Okay. You mentioned already that you're working for sponsors or for CROs, but do you also make contracts directly with GPs or hospitals who need study nurse services?
Some years ago, the contracts were done mainly with hospitals. That has changed nowadays. I would say 80% of our contracts go directly to sponsors and clinical research organizations, as they feel the responsibility of providing qualified staff in order to conduct the studies. And I hope this consciousness will keep coming into the sponsors, mostly to ensure that the research is properly carried out. We do work then under the contract with a sponsor or research organization in a praxis or in hospitals. For example, for studies, a small practice that is taking a study for the first time needs support, as the day-to-day of a praxis is not very, it's not so similar to how you conduct research. Even though they might have experience in their medical jobs or in the nursing jobs as well, they do not know the regulations. And that's, for example, at Camois, we also offer this chance to coach, so study nurse coaching, we call it,
Cool.
in which we train also the people that are working at the site or in a praxis, be it a hospital, on how to conduct this study and the best way possible.
Yeah. When you say we tell them how to do something, then my next question pops in mind, because people usually don't like to get told how they need to do something, and you are making the contracts with the sponsors here or even with the hospitals, and then an external person is coming and tells me how to do something, yeah. And I work already for 20 years as a nurse, not as a study nurse, but as a nurse. So the question is then, how is the acceptance? Do they like you? Do they really feel that you want to support them? Or is it kind of competition, ego problems, normal things when people are working together?
I've gotten a little bit of both. I always get the feeling first that the study nurse, that the nurses in there are always appreciating that there is someone who is going to take all of this responsibility of, now I don't have to take care of the study, or I can rely on someone else to do these things for the study, and then they're relieved, they feel supported. That's nice. I feel a little bit more of resistance when they are asked to learn to do these things aside, disregarding their own tasks, as if study nursing or as if nursing would be something that you can do aside of something. They are both very demanding jobs, and they should be considered as such. I think that comes usually from the PI, who says, yeah, but you can also take care of this on the side. And it is not so simple for them. That's when I feel more resistance on the lack of acknowledgement for their jobs.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing, or it's an advice for study sites actually, to show more respect for the work of nurses and study nurses at all, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. As you said, we take a lot of responsibility or a lot of tasks, and we allow then the principal investigators and physicians to invest their time in other more important activities as well. I wouldn't even say that they are more important. There are different activities that they can only do, that they cannot delegate to us. And that's how we work as a team in order to make this efficiently.
Okay, when you are making the contracts with your clients, the sponsor or CRO or even a hospital or a practice, how does the financial mode looks like? How do you get paid? Do you get paid per hour, per visit, per task? What is the model you can work accordingly?
So we get paid by the hour, and we only get paid for the tasks that we've done and the time that we've been there. So in the end, depends highly on the investigator, how long or how much are we going to get. I think the contracts we usually do not do them directly with the investigator. The way would be to, if the investigator needs a study nurse, to report it to the sponsor, and then the sponsor would get in touch with us.
That would mean if an investigator is very careless, actually doesn't spend too much time with the study, your costs will increase.
Our costs do not increase in that matter. We, as I say,
but you need more time for corrections, to clean up the mess and so on.
Yeah, if the study was being not properly corrected, then we would need in the beginning to correct what it was done in before, and then do it properly ahead. So having a study nurse from the beginning would avoid these kind of things to happen, and in the end we will be saving money for the study as we avoid mistakes.
That would be the perfect world.
Yeah.
But you know how it is. Very often people ask for help when it's too late.
Yeah, that's true. When it's too late, we say it's not too late. We will find a way of making it, of fixing it, and as well then giving better results, giving better data, cleaning up data.
But no question, your service is very important, but actually it shows once again doing things correctly from the beginning is always cheaper than doing it twice, first incorrectly and then once again correct.
Yes, absolutely. So from the very beginning, that would be the best case scenario.
Perfect. I can imagine that also people who are watching our channel from time to time are interested in the study nurse position, in the job working as a study nurse. What kind of advice could you give to them when they are interested?
As a flying study nurse, you need a different set of skills like adaptability, organization, and flexibility, as I've mentioned many times now. Also, language proficiency is important. Most of the courses are provided in English. The courses that are actually needed are the GCP, ICH, and the IATA. Those courses are most likely provided here in English, and which has been a limitation to have the staff properly trained, as I say. And therefore, Camovis developed a platform, that's the Study Nurse Center, in which we provide courses from study nurse to study nurse, and in order to educate and help to raise the standards of how study nurses should be qualified. As study nurse is not legally protected, none of this is a must legally. But of course, if we want to have research going forward, then we should also start with having qualified staff working in that way. And I think that's very important.
I think it's also important that people are getting used to it, to get in contact with this topic. Otherwise, they might be interested, but they, at the end of the day, they say, oh, research is too boring for me. It's too much theory. I need more patient contact, maybe. I think for this training makes really sense to get the foot into the door, but also getting used to the terms, getting used to what it's really expected from them.
Yeah, and I think that's, for example, what we really want to do is not only having this boring long theory, but also seeing in which cases does it apply. How does this look like in real life? Because the moment you are in front of a patient, then you have to sign the informed consent. When and how do you see that it's, you know, all the theory of, yeah, you have to do this, and that, but when you're practically there, which are the things that you actually have to take care of, and how important is this?
Yeah.
I think that's a crucial part of understanding and learning as a study nurse.
According to my experience, what is also a human skill which is very important is empathy, because you need to understand what the patient expects, but also what an investigator expects from you, what a CRA is expecting from the study nurse, and so that they put their own ego a little bit beside and say, I'm serving in the clinical research world as good as I can, depending on for what I'm needed. Sometimes it's a patient, sometimes it's an investigator, sometimes it's a monitor. And not everybody who is extremely highly educated, like biologists or other people are coming from the university who are saying, I'm working as a study coordinator, are really expecting this from them, the high level of empathy.
Yeah, that's empathy is definitely one of those things that you need in order to work as a team, to work with patients. I think for patients, it's very important to get this feeling that they're being understood and that they're being taken care of. In many situations, the patient come with some suffering and some baggage, and they are scared. They do not understand how the research works. They do not understand the difference between what is treatment and research, and having this new setting is very stressful for them. So being able to feel this, take this, validate this, and be open to the patients is a key point.
Okay, very well said. And in the moment we are living in a moment where we speak a lot about artificial intelligence, and it will also come in the study world. It's already existing there, but we will get it more and more. And I could imagine that the documentation done by a study nurse will be taken over by software very soon. But when you are saying, and I completely agree, as I said, I'm a fan of study nurses, empathy is the most important factor, and that cannot be taken by artificial intelligence. That's a human skill, and it will forever be a human skill. Yeah, even so, it could look like software is empathetic, but it's not the case because it's human. And therefore, I think this part will also be hard to replace. And therefore, I think also in the future, a study nurse of a good side, it's a must. Do you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think even though we might get support from IA at this moment, and I think the jobs, every job in research is going to change in the future, having a study nurse in the side, it's very important, because we have the human factor, as you say, the empathy, the contact to the patients. We are giving them reassurance. They're having another human being in a situation like that. It is a key factor, I think. Also, study nurses work with chaos, and we transform chaos into something that has order and structure. I don't know if there will ever be something that can cope with having the amount of chaos that you can see in research and putting it into an ordered way.
Yeah. I completely agree. I can imagine that some people think, oh, but that can also be solved by software to put from chaos to transfer it into order. No, that will be shit in, shit out. Because the sources of chaos are not predictable. It comes from everywhere. It can come from the pharmacy, it can come from the lab, very often from the investigators. And because it's so unpredictable, I think it's very hard to find an algorithm for software to clean it up.
Yeah, nowadays the algorithms are basically language predicting processing. And even though that seems amazingly advanced, now when we use it, I don't think it will be so able to learn the things that it needs to learn without losing the parts that needs to still be structured, because it has to learn how chaos looks like, and it has to learn how many mistakes can be done, and that this mistake is the learning process from a machine is too much. He's not human.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was extremely interesting. Thank you very much for sharing all the information with us and your experience. I hope you also enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you. It's been very nice to be here today with you talking about this topic.
Yeah. And I also hope that you liked our video, our interview about flying study nursing. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel, leave your comments and questions. See you the next time. Bye bye.